Beloved, this is the Culture and Camaraderie podcast, the most thought-provoking, introspective, industrious, creative discussion with my guy Tiberius. What you say?
What's good?
Goodness gracious
What's
me.
good? What's good?
Oh, wow. Yo, I need to get off the internet.
Yeah, I've been saying that to myself for a little while. Still.
If you're listening to us with crystal clear audio clarity, hit up LAX_ERA. I am NY Typical, the foremost creative writer for fashion, tech, design, art, and performance. It's the thing that I found out. It's like
because I just can't imagine people, especially older people, like looking at it and going, "Oh, what is that? Let me find out what that is." Like, because especially the way that they format the ads, they're very almost as if you know about this.
Advert.
I've seen them all. Well, it was all over Stratford. They're on buses, and it's just saying "real friends." It's got them like, what are they called?
Icon.
The emojis. What are they called?
The Bitmojis.
Bitmojis. There's a bunch of Bitmojis, and then it's just got the Snapchat logo. That's it. Like, that's the ad. So it's almost as if it's like geared towards people that it's just like, you know about this. Come back come back onto Snapchat. Like,
it's like a phone book. Like, well, to me, Snapchat is like a phone book. It's like giving out your number essentially, and that's what they're trying to make it feel like. It's like you're trying to make your closer friends have your number. And well, most people don't want random people looking at their Snapchat, and most people don't give up. Like, most people give out their Snapchat, then their phone number. It's never, you know what I mean?
Well, that's how it always is, isn't it? It started even with Facebook. It's like, that's what you done when it was like,
yeah, you give people your Facebook. Oh yeah, sure. Do you know what's funny? Like, my guy, he's a doctor and stuff. Yeah, well, not a doctor. He's optician or whatnot. Like an eye. What's the real name for an eye doctor again?
Yeah, no, optician is glasses.
Yeah, whatever their name for an eye doctor is. Yeah, like, she gave him.
No, we just said optician.
She gave him her Facebook.
Who did?
This girl gave my friend her Facebook. Yeah, her name on Facebook. That's how literally look at it. It literally has her Facebook on it, and it's like, she told him to add him on Facebook, and I was like, raw. Like, this is what people do. Like, when you're
it's so weird though, because Facebook's a bit more of a rare thing now. It's become more Instagram, isn't it? That's it.
It depends, because like it depends on who you are and what your life is like. Like, when, like, because I think about me and how I move, and it's like, I'm always searching for new music, and it's a lot of what change, like, everything that I listen to changes, and it's not that I want it to change, it's that I like seeing things, and I like knowing where things are and who's where, and being able to forecast the future, and like, and not just that, but just having a good idea of the landscape. And it's got nothing to do with how I tell stories. It's just a great thing that they've made. And with Dr. Stone, it's like, damn, you can build civilization from nothing. Like, they're doing this thing where they're making penicillin in it. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Dr. Stone.
Oh yeah, because he's. Yeah. Oh, actually, I get why this world is so sick. Actually, because he's having to make all the things that have already been invented from complete scratch, with no materials, with nothing, and it's like very sort of like the whereas like Naruto will have like chakra or whatever. This thing is just raw science.
Yeah, it's like science. They're using real science. They're like, you have to go to the mountains.
Because this kind of material is specifically in this place.
You have to get the acid because you need this acid, this dangerous acid, to make this. And you have to put all of these chemicals together. And then obviously you need beakers because they have a high melting point, and most of the things that you're going to make in the beakers have a lower melting point than glass.
And he doesn't even have beakers. He doesn't even have beakers.
You don't have beakers.
Yeah, I remember.
You don't know how to blow glass. You don't know anything about that. And then it's just
because is Dr. Stone the main protagonist, or it's the other kid, isn't he?
No, Dr. Stone is he's like the guy. It's just like he's like his main thing is like, this is amazing. Like we get to do everything from scratch. Everything that I've read about, we get to do, and he's just like thinking about all of these things. Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's like he's just a well-read person who's figured out. Well, not even figured out.
He's getting the chance to put it into a practical practice.
Being inventive, and that's all he's done since the beginning. And it's like, and this is like a lot of the things that we spoke. Well, in the early days of the podcast, when I was talking about when you're making a world, it's like, what type of cup? What is a cup where you are? Like, and then when you look around your world, and like, this is part of one of my thesis or doctorines, is like plastic and its use in the world, and like how much plastic do we actually use, and how much plastic do you know that you use, and how much plastic do you wear, and how much plastic do you eat? And a lot of people don't even know the answers to those questions. Like everything people wear is mostly everything people wear is plastic or made from some sort of plastic. And then you think about, okay, so this is why they're mining all of this oil, because we need clothes, we need products, we need all of these things. And at the end of the day, we won't run out of plastic to make anything. And like I said, 6 years ago, it's like, now that people find it a problem, we're finding solutions. So now we're recycling plastic. So people now, Adidas are like making trainers out of plastic and stuff, and like it's becoming part of the doctrine to have vertical integration from the mining all the way down back to the recycling. So you have to reuse what you're making, and you make tires, like you make trainers out of tires or clothes out of tires, and repurposing the type of plastic. And there's a process where you can distill the dangerous gas that plastic emits. Yeah, people are making substances out of that, and like catching that substance and figuring out ways to use that and stuff. So it's like this zero waste life that we're going to be living in 15 years, where it's like a lot of people think the world's going to end, but it's these just forces, it's these forces, this kind of energy that's going to push, be the driving force for that kind of world where it's a zero emission world. And the main point is like, you can make all of these things, but you have to be the inventive mind to be able to use all of these things. You have to have the inventive mind to say, I can use this for this. And you've got to is the right word, care? You gotta think, this, I can get this product for this much, and I can be a first mover in this industry using this product. And it's like, who's the first button millionaire? Like, there's literally a family dynasty that made buttons and zippers. Well,
the funny thing is, it's funny though, because it's like there's also things where people, because they haven't understood how to pattern it or the business side of creating something like that, those opportunities were just missed. I guess actually no, not necessarily true, because even the people who didn't necessarily invent those things and used it and monopolized it and did understand the business side did make a dynasty off of it. So I guess like that's exactly what's happened. Like within the whole of Western history, it's like you monopolize the industry and then they break you up, but now you are a league of people that own this industry and no one's allowed to get in. Like when you think, it's like the guy who made the cat eyes for the motorway, isn't it? Like he just saw something reflected on the side of the road and he was like, and it's like, no, they're everywhere. Wait, what was I gonna say? Sorry, I cut you off. It's like monopolies, buttons, dynasty.
Oh fam, it's gone.
No, monopolies, dynasty, buttons.
No, it's like
money.
It's like, okay, the weed industry. Mm-hmm. And not even just the weed industry, like the car industry. It's like you need at least $1 billion to make a car, to make a car company. Like you need $1 billion, like
that's
upfront.
Yeah,
basic, one car, like to make it road safe and all of these other things. Like I don't even think that's part of the marketing, but maybe so. Like maybe so, you need marketing, but then after you do one car, you can't have a company that just has one car. And this was Tesla's problem, Elon Musk's problem. It's like you can't have just one car. You can't just have the Tesla Roadster. Or like
is that
the family car.
Is that just because you're not going to be able to create enough money? Like you're not going to be able to sell enough. You're not going to be able to sell enough.
People lack a choice. No, the Tesla Roadster was like the cool electric car in the beginning.
That didn't come. No, didn't the Roadster wasn't the first one?
Wasn't it?
No, the Roadster's the really fast one, isn't it? The fastest one. That didn't come first. That didn't come first.
Deadly sure, like
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Like he started with the high end one first.
No, because I remember like they didn't release that. What
was the first fast Tesla? Because I remember
the first fast Tesla was the Roadster, but that wasn't the first Tesla.
Wait, the Model S isn't the first. The Model S is the one that's the average price. Wait, the flagship Tesla.
Because it was that basic Tesla that you saw going around, and then they done the SUV after that one.
0 to 60, the Model S, the most expensive Tesla. Oh, it is the Model S.
Yeah, it wasn't.
See,
I told you. Yeah, it's not the Roadster. The Roadster, because I remember them talking about it, hyping it up about how fast it was going, and it wasn't going to be released till later. But this was like way after the SUV. This was after the SUV came out.
What do you mean?
It was the Roadster came after the SUV was out.
The Teslas.
The Roadster is like an actual sports car.
Okay, so the Model S. Okay, yeah, the Model S is the first. Wait, is it the first Tesla car?
Yes.
Is that the first Tesla car? Because I'm pretty sure like it was just celebrities riding around in the first Tesla car. I remember that, and it was super duper expensive. And was that the Model S?
Yeah, Model S. Yes, was the first Tesla. It was just a basic.
No, it was super fast car.
Yeah, it was a super fast car.
It was super fast and it for it being efficiently.
Especially since it was an electric car.
Yeah, back in the days and stuff. Exactly. And I was like,
it set the way.
And then it was like, okay, so you can actually have a cool electric car.
That's fast, yeah.
And then
because even the Roadster fast. Goes even faster than that.
It was important that it charged fast. Yeah, because Ferrari's doing one, I believe. Lamborghini's obviously doing one. I already said like by 2021 Lamborghini should have their electric car out. Like because there's cars that can.
They just set pace though, didn't they? Tesla kind of like.
Yeah, well, it's like technology just caught up. Like electric cars could have been a thing about 40 years ago if someone decided to
actually pursue it.
Yeah. Like,
but the money was easily coming in from how.
The oil industry was like, nope.
Oh yeah.
It was like. No, like these cars are gonna blow up. These it was really a rigged thing. Like cars have been a rigged thing for generations. This is what I'm talking about. It's like when you break up the monopolies, it's like there are a league of people that won't allow people in, and it's like the weed industry is new and cool. It's like tech and all of this stuff, but you need land to grow the weed on. You need a farm to harvest the weed and like what's it called again? Manufacture it like that. What's the manufacturing land called? Like when you need all the machines and like all of that stuff and like the storage and just
the delivering.
Like you
the
need
whole process, the whole like actual corporate process of it. Yeah,
that whole thing, and it's friggin' expensive. So it may be new, but only rich people can get into it. Like the best things are when inventive people can get into it, and that's why tech making apps is so great, because you can literally be a nobody, or not a nobody, but you can be someone who doesn't have a lot of money, and you can make an app that makes you technically successful in monetary terms if you make something efficient for the people. and that new thing. And when you're inventive, it doesn't just come from apps, because apps are just something on a phone, and people are fickle, so your app won't even last maybe 6 or 7 years. And that's why social media is so big, and like really and truly, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like when you say all of, like, well, Facebook is a monopoly basically.
Yeah.
It's essentially a monopoly. But when you say Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, it's like you're saying the big three companies back in the day. It's really like you're saying Ford, GM, and Chrysler, or you're saying what else is there? Like Standard Oil, what's the other one? It's not Shell, it's GP. No, I forgot what the big three oil companies, but that's technically what they are. And it's like saying Apple and Microsoft back in the day. And really, well, to be fair, I don't see this app thing lasting very long, but and a lot of this like what we're doing now with streaming as well, it's like it's even harder to get into, because you need a platform and all of this stuff. Like Netflix isn't new, Amazon isn't a new company.
That's the problem.
Like, all of these companies are like 20 years old at least. So I just like, you just have to know why you're doing what you're doing, because that change up, you know, like when a beat switches and it's like, ooh, like that's the exact same thing when you switch from singing to rapping. Like, you know, when you have a bunch of features on a track, right? And one person's high pitched, and then one person is like lower, and then another person's higher, and like, well, it just depends. Well, depending on the vocal arrangement, because a lot of people can just all sound the same on one track, and it doesn't even feel like you have a break. Because really, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to invent a break in the listening experience, so people want to listen on. And it's like, you know, in games, like they have this formula thing where it's like something new has to happen every 15 seconds or something, or every certain amount of seconds. And it's like it's in this, like when it's either Call of Duty and doing the story modes, there's like story beats, right? And then something different has to happen in a certain amount of time for you to keep going.
Yeah, to be engaged.
And that's generally the thing, like they're trying to do. And like what's that movie that Cara Delevingne was in again? Like the newest one, the one with the, like, it's just beautiful. It's really one of the most beautiful films that I've seen.
Have you seen Joker yet?
Visually, no, I haven't.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, same. It's just visually pleasing. It's like,
do you want to go see it? Not next week, the week after.
Yeah, that's very far out though, isn't it? It's like,
well, yeah.
So yeah, I could. Yeah, I can.
Well, because I'm off that week.
So yeah, like it's Valerian. And it's just one of the most visually beautiful films. And a lot of times I like to dissect these type of things, and I like to watch documentaries without sound, like just so I can get an understanding of the videography. And I've watched this film. I've watched it like 4 or 5 times right by now, and I was just like looking at not just like the graphics, but the texture of the film and where people were, and like just the change up within each scene and what they were adding. And it wasn't the story, it was more so the visual storytelling and the engagement within the space, because really and truly you're selling the world rather than you're selling anything else. Like the story wasn't the reason that people were watching or people would keep watching. It's what you show us and how you show it to us. So yeah, it's like,
see, what do you where do you think story and world separate?
The world has to tell its own story. The world has to have its own theme. To me, it's like I don't feel like they separate. I feel like you tell a story within the world, innit?
Tell a story within the world. But do you think you have to have a story before you build the world?
No, because it could be any story, really and truly. It could, like, you could tell any story. Like, once a world is made, like, you can tell any story within it. Certainly, you can tell any type of story. You can create any type of character. But it's just the way that you.
That's the funny thing, though,
the characters interact with the world and the crossover.
I was trying to build a world before, but I kind of struggled to get the level of depth I wanted in it. But having created the story that I've created now, I feel like there's a lot more context to the world. Like, now I can start to imagine how other people in that world would live, or imagine what this world would be like more so.
Okay, like
interestingly,
that's just.
But yeah, that's just a different part of the process. But that's just how I've.
Yeah, that's just how you've engaged with it. It's like you just want to tell. Well, you add things. You're adding things within it.
Because initially, I did just want to have a world.
It's just
I didn't necessarily want a specific story, but having this story has made me think about everything about it, and now I've got different parts and characters, and I know how everyone might relate to that, and the people that are going to have the same ideas and vision as him, but for different reasons, or
well, the question is can you tell a completely different story
in the exact same world?
Yeah
I could now.
Can you just like say you can shirk that one off and like just be different? And a lot of that's just a lot of what I think about when you're existing in a world, isn't it? It's just how can this thing be more engaging, or how can I put together whatever this thing is with another thing, and what theme this is. Can this theme fit into the world? And can the characters interact with the world properly, basically? Like, that's a lot of what you have to ask. What I ask myself is, are we interacting properly? Is the world experience just as good? Like,
as this story is being told.
What is the, like, when you talk about a book, what is the materials of the book? Like, where are the factories which the books are made? Like, if you have a book, what, like, because it's obviously a different material than there is now. Like, when I was learning about writing in general, like, just the art of putting words down from Marcus Aurelius, and the reason why we still have those books, and a lot of the reason why we don't have other books, is because of the territory of what you call pagans, like, just in this tongue, innit? In the tongue that we're speaking in now, is everything else was pagan rituals or pagan understandings. But there are certain things, like the understanding of Stoicism, that is like just a thing. And in Ryan, you got it. It's called illumination. So it's passed down, and you have these people who write, right? Like he was in Viking. You know that monk guy that was in Viking. That guy.
Oh my!
So yeah,
gosh. He did. That was one of the reasons. That whole arc was one of the reasons why I loved that film. Like, his development as a character.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Was heavy. Oh man, I feel like I need to rewatch that. It's crazy shit. But yeah, no. Go on, sorry, continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It's hard, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's true. There's only actually a certain selection of books that's even worth reading, really.
Yeah.
Like, at their core. So when you see all these new ones, which are very sort of shallow, like, it's.
Yeah, I don't care about people that read a book a day, to be honest with you.
Like, what's the point?
And, like, I'm not one of those people that only reads classics. Like, I know the type of books that I like to read, and I read those books. And if there's a newer version, like,
give an example of like a book,
like, you know, Art of War, right? It's got so many different offshoots. Like, you got the Art of Business, and like the art of like relationships and all of these type of things, like using the art of war as reference to make their own book. And like Think and Grow Rich also has the same thing. And like Robert Greene obviously has his own book, 33 Strategies of War. So there's that. And like who's the Power book based off of? It's based
48 Laws of Power.
Yeah, it's based off another book, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter at this certain point. But it's like just a retelling of history with certain principles, right? And yeah, well, the most important thing about illumination is you have to copy inexact principles, in exact ways, in exact manners. And this is a lot of why I don't understand people that say that don't trust how the Bible was passed on. And like when people say what's it called again? What's that shit that they say? It's like you don't know if someone may have changed it, or like literally, it's
like Chinese whispers that they got.
Yeah, like that's a lot. That's another reason why people say you can't even, like, the Bible can be added, and it's like, no, it can't.
I do believe, like, as someone who's not,
because your hand could have got cut off in those times. You could have got killed for not writing in exact ways what was in the Bible. And only the richest, like just like in fashion, only the richest people dressed in a certain type of way. Only the most experienced people could write the Bible.
Because it wasn't like the world is now. Not everyone was reading and writing and stuff the way it was. Knowledge wasn't like that.
Like King James, and I forgot the person that translated the Bible into English, but that's only a couple hundred years ago. And even translating the Quran into English, and it's like you can certainly lose some of that essence, like when it's in Hebrew and Arabic. But the main thing is like, for those certain thousands of years and hundreds of years, it's like you could not, like, if you were a writer, like just like how people are commissioned to paint, and the Sistine Chapel was painted, it's like this vision of godliness as man and whiteness as gods and all of these things. When you're a writer, you write for reason, and that reason is to pass down information, and that reason is to create a better understanding. And like obviously we've got, like, in the past 100 years we got so many more books made now, but it's like you could not, like when I tell you could not at any point change like any word how it was written. Like that was a real deal thing. And the reason why you burn everybody else's text whenever you visit another country, the reason why they burn Nigeria's text and all of the other countries, is because you can't allow other people to have their own history. But yeah, like as you were saying in stories, like when you have books, when you have books, it's like, what is that book made out of? Because obviously they used scrolls back then when they were doing illumination, and not even scrolls. It was just like big long reams of paper and cotton or something like that. It was just a cured type of thing that you could write on. So yeah, it's like what materials are you using? Like, where's the factory from? How do you create a substance? So yeah, and it's like what are these cool things that you're able to think about when making something? The one that was in the body.
Is that's not Osmosis Jones? You got like I know what you mean.
Like his name was Osmosis, right?
Yeah, mate, that was.
And like how they use like certain body functions as like tables and like cups and stuff. It was just a creative way to say.
Oh, you're right. It is Osmosis Jones.
It was just a creative way to say these things were living in your body and stuff.
What a sick character as well. Like the characters were hard.
So yeah, and like the way they drew infections and viruses, and like it taught you a lot about the human body, and the way it's just a great display of world building. Like the world is the human body, and how people drink
they
in
need
that
to
world.
revamp that. Oh my gosh.
And all of that stuff.
Actually, it would be a bit whack because it'd be 3D and it just wouldn't work. Chris Rock was the voice for it.
Oh, that's cold. Well, the movie, right?
Yeah.
No, the TV show also.
TV series. Maybe. I feel like he might have been the voice for it.
Was he in the TV? I don't think he was on a TV show one. Film 2001. Damn, I'm old, bro.
Oh, it was called Ozzy and Drix.
Yeah.
That was the TV series.
Yeah, and like Drix was the pill, Mazzolini, and he was a detective, and obviously he's a white blood cell and stuff. So yeah, and he worked with a.
Okay, yeah, Phil Lamar was the. Yeah, mad.
Oh, that
Static Shock as well. The era of cartoons, our era was the best.
It was
hands down.
Oh man, it was
Nothing
impressive.
Can touch that now.
I just loved the way that just that story was told and portrayed. Like not just the story, but the world was shown. Like when you're making something for real, it's like you gotta care. You gotta have that. Like when you have that level of detail,
putting the pieces together, like the links, creating the links and all that.
Yeah, like just how like you've got this whole snail dialogue when you're talking about One Piece. Like they use transponder snails that speak to one another and they communicate, and it's like their phones, their radios, they're all of these things, and that's how they communicate. They don't use radio waves, they use these snail things, and they have factories, and all of these factories are all different. The one thing I can't get with One Piece is the scale, right? And just the world destroyer type of abilities. I just can't see it. I don't understand the way how strong people are and how much they can destroy the world.
Do you know why Dragon Ball Z I think was so great, and I think some people, the thing that people don't actually give enough credit to of why it became what it was, that conversation we had about when Goku was fighting Tien.
Yeah.
And Tien was like, "You're not as fast as me, bro." And he goes, "You're right. But look, before we start, can I just sort myself out?" Yeah. He takes off his band. When he does that, all the characters then in succession go and pick it up, and to give context to his strength or what he's about to do, they're saying, "Whoa, all this stuff's got to be about 100 kilograms."
He was carrying a whole. That
limitation is what I think actually makes people really connect to these shows. It's the same thing with Superman. It's like what gave it context is he was unbelievably strong, but at one point what it was boasting about was he could lift a car, he could maybe just about throw a lorry, you know what I mean, if he put all his strength into it. Like, you know what I mean, it wasn't that he could tear off a building with his little finger and you know what I mean, just boot it, you know, across the whole city. Like, it wasn't like that. It was like that level of sort of just giving it. And it's the same thing that happened with Naruto. Like, it was at first the Kage Bunshin was this thing in this forbidden scroll that no one really knew about, or if you could do it, it was like a forbidden technique, and he just banged it out like, whoa. And it was like this really incredible thing. You know?
The setup was just crucial.
And it's that power crawl that kind of ruins it. I think at all times you need to show.
That's doing DC. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to.
Gonna have to what?
I'm gonna have to cut the. I got play. Look at.
Thank you guys for listening to the Culture and Camaraderie podcast. This has been Damadici on the Mikey with your boy Tyverius.
Tyv.
LAX_ERA on social media, and myself, NYTypical, on social media, and NYTypical.net. The foremost creative writer for fashion, design, writing, and tech. This has been the Culture and Camaraderie podcast. Peace, blessings, and salutations.
Love. Hold tight.